Hello and welcome to Velvet Lips Google Hangout on Air. We have live with us the wonderful, amazing Devi Ward, and she is here to talk with us about Tantra. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome today.
Good, good, good. Have you ever done a live Google Hangout on Air before?
Yeah, I have actually with my Lama Tashi Dundrup. We did a live Google Hangout webinar, and we weren't able to repeat the experience because the Google Hangout stuff kind of gets wonky sometimes. So,
yeah.
Yes, I have. Oh yeah, and I did another one for another company called Spiritual Sex. We did a live Google Hangout, so they're a lot of fun.
Oh, nice. Excellent. That's awesome. So, do you want to, I'm not sure if everybody, if there were a lot of people that went to the podcast and listened to the podcast, but was there anything that you felt like you missed or wanted to mention besides the things that we talked about within the podcast?
Well, I haven't listened to it again since we did it, so I don't really remember if there was anything lingering that I needed to share. So I think, for me, the best thing is to just fire some questions, and I'll give you some answers.
Excellent. So now that we're live, I just want to make sure that if anybody has a question, so please use the hashtag Velvet Lips, either hashtag Velvet Lips, hashtag VL on Air, or hashtag Devi Ward, that's DEVIWARD, or hashtag Devi Ward Tantra. So use any one of those hashtags to feel free to ask a question if there's anything that you're curious about. Probably, if you're, just curious about anything with regard to Tantra. So we did have a couple of questions that did come in. So I wanted to make sure I addressed them. And one was just sort of, how do I get started with Tantra?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question. Well, I usually begin my studies by reading and kind of researching and inquiring. And the thing to keep in mind that I believe I mentioned during the podcast, but when it comes to Tantra, there are a variety of different styles of Tantra. So just because a book is titled Tantra or someone's teaching Tantra does not mean that there's not like one code of instruction that goes along with Tantra. What you learn, the methods and the techniques that you learn depend entirely upon the style of Tantra that's being taught. So I would recommend doing some research into the different styles of Tantra to begin with. There's Tibetan Tantra, there's Indian Tantra, there's Tantra that's influenced by Osho, which is mostly neo-Western Tantra. There's Taoist Tantra. So teachings of sacred sexuality are available in pretty much every culture on the planet. So the Kwadoshka, Native Americans, there's African sacred sexual teachings. What most people don't understand is that there's a difference between sacred sexuality and Tantra. Right? They're not all the same thing. So just because someone's teaching sacred sexual practices doesn't mean that they're necessarily practicing Tantra, right? Tantra is a specific style of yogic practice.
Okay. So what's the difference between the sacred sexuality and and Tantra?
Again, this is going to depend upon who you speak to. The way I was trained under the lineage of Tibetan Tantra, the word Tantra in our lineage means to weave. Specifically, it is the practice of weaving light and sound with form. The form is the body, light is visualization, and sound is mantra. There are both sexual and non-sexual tantric practices. And weave the light and the sound with form. It's a style of meditation, essentially. It's internal chakra yoga.
Okay.
Like the Dalai Lama is a tantrika. He practices tantra. He doesn't practice sexual tantra. He practices non-sexual tantra. So that's my understanding in the lineage under which I practice. And if you're not weaving light and sound with form, you're not actually practicing the yoga of Tantra. Now, other people have different definitions, and they have different orientations.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's just so much to it. There's so many facets. You can go in any sort of direction. And I feel like it's really up to you, I mean, up to the person to really figure out, like, what resonates with them, I guess, or not, you know, like, and it's really hard to just sort of, it seems like you would really need to let me go see what Tibetan Tantra is about, or Indian Tantra. Let me go see what sacred sexuality this person is doing versus this person, and just figuring it out. You know, there's some things that resonate with people, and there's some things that don't. And it was interesting. There was a dialogue going on in one of the LinkedIn groups about a practice that one woman was doing, and you know, some people were like, oh, it's sort of kitschy and you know, it's trendy, but it's not real. And I was just kind of thinking, well, it's real to all the people that she's been, who have been using her work and have been helping. So, you know, I feel like it's really up to the person just to see, but you really have to get out there and really do it. I mean, there's no way.
Also, in my opinion, you have to understand your motivation. So each of the different styles of practice have a different intention. They have a different motivation. With Tantra, the motivation is full realization of enlightenment. That's the goal. That's the goal. That's the ultimate goal. Along the way, you get better sex and better orgasms and more intimacy. Those are all results of the practice of doing Tantra yoga. But the ultimate goal is for full realization. It's to recognize our divinity in our human form. That's the ultimate goal of Tantra. So in this lineage. But other styles may have different goals. Like some it's, for better health. Some it's for, medicine. Some is for deeper intimacy and better orgasms. And I view like better orgasms and deeper intimacy, again, as results of doing the practice of Tantra. They're like side benefits. Yeah. So your motivation is going to determine the style. What are you hungry for? What are you yearning for? What is the end result that you wish to achieve through your sexual practice?
Yeah. So that's very interesting. So if a person's, goal is enlightenment, and I remember during the podcast you talked about how having an orgasm is like that, it's a moment of enlightenment. Did you want to maybe expand upon that at all, or do you just feel like it's just, the glimpse?
Yeah, well, I think I think it's crucial for people to understand, because in the Western world we have such a division between sexuality and spirituality, right? Sex is a sin. Pleasure is sinful. It's wrong. It's shameful. It's dirty. It's wrong, right? And it's something that we still, even freaking grown adults, even 40, 50-year-old adults, giggle when you say the word penis.
Right.
How fucking ridiculous is that? I mean, seriously, we're 40, and I say, like, if you can't comfortably talk about sex, you can't comfortably have sex. Right? If you can't talk about it as like an adult and communicate about it without giggling, then what are you doing in the bedroom? So your uncomfortability and your insecurity with sex. So anyway, so that's besides the point. So I think this is crucial for people to understand that the way the human nervous system is designed or hardwired is so that at the moment of orgasm, the moving energies, they're called prana. So prana, we have pranic channels all over the body. They're energetic channels. A lot of people are familiar with acupuncture. Right? The meridians and channels. Well, those are the pranic channels of the body, the energetic channels. So we are wired, their blueprint, so to speak, is so that at the moment of orgasm, those moving pranic energies in the genitals brush the core of consciousness, of the life force in the human form, which is called the central channel, the Uma channel, or the Sushumna Nadi. All Sanskrit words for it, Sushumna Nadi.
Wow. And
Uma is Tibetan. So they brush the central channel. And when the awareness is anchored in the central channel, we experience bliss. We experience voidness. We experience non-duality. So think about that moment of orgasm. What is in that moment of orgasm?
Yeah.
It's bliss.
Right.
It's freedom from your intellectual mind, and there's no I in orgasm. You are completely free for that moment of any concept of yourself. That's why some people have a hard time, like they feel afraid of having an orgasm, because it's a complete surrender. It's a complete loss of control.
Right.
That is enlightenment. That's a glimpse. That freedom and that bliss and that expansive ultimate joy is a glimpse of God. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So for most people, their orgasms are this big. They're like a sneeze, like, and they're done. And that's it. But that's still a glimpse of God. It's this much of a glimpse, but it's still a glimpse. So in Tantra, what we do is we engage tools and practices to expand that moment of orgasm to be 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 hours.
Wow.
And we become accustomed to living in a state, in a consciousness of bliss. It's called bliss consciousness. That's achieved through cultivating sexual pleasure and sustaining orgasmic states.
Wow. That's really amazing.
And it's faster than sitting in meditation, though meditation is a huge part of it, because you have to train your mind to be present and aware and relaxed at this peak of pleasure. You cannot have phenomenal orgasms if you're thinking about what's for dinner and doing the dishes. You have to be completely free of all thought other than what's happening right here and right now. Make sense?
Yes, totally, totally. So I got another question in. It was, and just thinking about all of this, like, how do you convince or try to get a partner engaged with you in wanting to do Tantra or, engage in Tantric practices? I mean, do you think it's something that comes natural for people, or, is there a way to say, like, hey, how do basically the question is, like, how do I convince my partner to engage in Tantra with me?
Well, find out what's in it for them. Right? What are the needs that are going to be met for them? So what makes their heart sing? What speaks to them? Is enlightenment what speaks to them? Some people, yeah, they're like, hell yeah, I want to learn how to use my sex to transform my consciousness. Sign me up. Other people, that doesn't turn them on. What turns them on is better orgasms, or what turns them on is deeper intimacy, or what turns them on is learning how to pleasure their partner. Or, if you're talking about if your partner's a man, one of the great things appeal to the male ego. Like, hey, baby, let's learn these things because I want you to fuck me better than anybody else.
Right.
I want you to pleasure me, to give me more pleasure than anybody else ever has before. And I want to learn how to give you more pleasure than you've ever had before. So we find out what's going to motivate our partner. What is our goal? What is our desire? If I want my partner to do Tantra with me, I have to look at, well, what is my motivation? Why do I want this? Is it because I want to feel more connected? Is it because I want more pleasure? Is it because, of self-discovery? Is it because we're bored and we want something fun to play with? Find out what my motivation is, and then invite my partner to share that with me. Like, hey, I really want to feel a union when we make love. Would you be willing to, like, try this thing with me and see if it works? See if it makes our relationship better. See if it makes our sex better. Because our sex is good, but there's more. Right? So that's the other important part, too. You don't want to show up with your partner like, our sex sucks.
Right.
You need to fix it. That's not going to go over very well, right?
No.
It's more about, like, saying, okay, we have this, and we both want more. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. I've had some couples that I've had to, work with who have said those mean words, and that's a heartbreaker, you know, for folks.
Yeah, well, and I understand that we're communicating from pain. You know, some people, that's the thing, because we're not educated about sexuality in our culture, it is one of the core sufferings that people have, especially of our generation and older. I mean, I don't know if that's changing for the millennials or not, but yeah, it's like the missing piece out of many people's relationships. It's a cause of great suffering for many people. And so I think it builds up over the years. And so that pain builds up, and then when you actually finally speak out to express it or do something about it, that's what's coming out is the pain.
Mm. Yeah. Wow. Let's see. I'm going to check to see if we have any questions in. Is there anything that you have, anything recent, or do you have any events or anything going on?
Yeah, I do. Thanks for asking. As of today, we have a workshop, an event in Vancouver on Friday, this upcoming Friday, 3-hour The Art of Self-Pleasure for Women, Awakening the Over 11 Different Orgasms. And we are putting a call out to make sure that you register by Monday to make sure you hold your seat and get your space available. April 18th, I'm going to be in Seattle. I'm going to be teaching Sex as a Healing Art Tantra for Couples. I'm super excited about that workshop. And it is, like I said, it's going to be in Seattle at the Center for Sex Positive or Foundation for Sex Positive Culture. I can never remember what. It's going to be a wonderful time. And then I'm going to be teaching there again on June 7th. Again, The Art of Self-Pleasure, Awakening the Over 11 Different Kinds of Female Orgasm. And then in July, I am going to be doing a retreat with a fellow Tantrika. It is going to be the fusion of Tantra and kink.
Wow.
So teaching the practices of bondage and safe and consensual BDSM sexuality, and we're going to be weaving it with Tibetan Tantra practices for enhanced intimacy, connection, and pleasure.
Wow, that is amazing. You have a lot going on. And then in October, you're coming to Sex Down South, right?
I'm so excited. Yes, I'm so excited. Sex Down South, and I'm going to be teaching, I believe I'm going to be teaching a full workshop for women. Is that correct? The workshop
right.
for women? Mm-hmm. One day, Sensual Awakening, Tantra for Women workshop, and then I'm going to be teaching some Tantric movement and Tantric dance for everybody. So
yes.
I'm excited about that.
Super, super exciting. Awesome. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Is there anything that you want to add? Anything else? Otherwise?
No, just, yeah, for those people who are interested in Tantra, I think the most important thing to be aware of is that it is essentially, regardless of what form or style of practice, style of Tantra you're practicing, it is a form of yoga. So often people think that they're going to take a Tantra workshop and all their problems are going to disappear overnight. Just wave a magic wand and they're all gone. And that's just not the way anything in life works, right? If we're on a diet, we need consistency. If we want better health and to get in shape, we need to consistently work out. We can't just do it once a month and expect to see results. So same with Tantra. It's best, no matter what style you practice, it's best to approach it as a yoga practice. And what that means is you're going to spend a little bit of time every day or a little bit of time several days a week cultivating your practice. And the more you do it, the better results you get.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Practice always makes perfect. I mean, it can't be, simpler than that sometimes. All right. Well, that's it that I have for you. I wanted to tell people, first of all, thank you so much for joining me on this live Google Hangout on air. Sometimes it feels like, sometimes we, get some folks, but really people start to watch it like over time and whatnot. So I really hope that people get a chance to see you and the work you do and sign up for your workshops. And I am hoping to get out there in, June, July for this exciting workshop that you have. But I just wanted to say thank you once again for just, being here and enjoying this with me, enjoying the podcast.
That you are very welcome, and thank you. And I do want to just let people know that if you are interested in any of those events, where you can find them is on my website, Devi Ward Tantra, DEVIWARD Tantra.com, and go to my upcoming events drop menu and just click on that, and it has my calendar and then widgets on the right that will lead you to the event that you're interested in. So that's how you can find out more about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful day, and enjoy yourself.
Yes, it's for pleasure in a myriad of different ways.
All right. Bye.